Yeah, for me, freedom, the idea of freedom had always been such a big, like, inspiration. And my version of freedom was being able to do whatever you want, whenever you want it. So if I was working for the man, I just always felt like I was bound somehow. And it was like, go do a 9 to 5 job, buy a house, start a family. It just never resonated with me. I'd seen so many of my good friends get themselves into that situation and they were unhappy. And they were just kind of going through like a life that didn't seem that meaningful or didn't seem like it was reaching their potential. And I just, I guess once I read those books on how to manifest, because nobody taught me that.
Yes.
I didn't have a mentor when I was younger that knew those secrets to life. So once I actually read it, and I think I consumed Think and Grow Rich in like a week, I just couldn't put it down.
It's so good.
And it impacted me so deeply. I was like, I actually have to try this. And that's what the book's saying. It's like, don't just read this and put it down. Like, read it again, write it down, write down your goals. And once we went through that process, and we started getting instant results. So then it was, I guess, a twist on what did we actually want to use this for? Like, we know it works now. What do we want to use it for? And it definitely wasn't going to be working for someone else.
Yeah. It's fascinating. I remember, because I know Bob Proctor has been a huge proponent of Think and Grow Rich. That's like his Bible. I think he's got one of the original, he had the original copies up until the day that he died. And he was a big catalyst in The Secret, which is such an amazing book and documentary. And when I searched Bob Proctor on Wikipedia, I think the second sentence was like, his philosophies are dangerously categorized as like pseudoscience or something like that. And I think what the four of us have experienced is like, not only is it not pseudoscience, a lot of what they're teaching in those books, it's just fundamental like laws of reality, and it's the ultimate truth too. And we realize that as well, just actually writing your goals down and being able to visualize yourself in that position of success. And then the 6 months go by and you can't even recognize who you are and you're proud of yourself. It sounds like that was both really impactful for both of you, right?
100%. And probably one of the biggest things within inside of that book that still remains with me now is just having the faith. Like, faith is such a powerful faith, and developing that just into a knowing. And that's what Brad and I have really well now. I mean, being a founder, as you guys know, it's not easy. No. Not every day is, selling heaps of product and hearing the cha-ching on your phone. Especially. However, understanding that life isn't all rainbows and butterflies, but it is that cycle of ups and downs. It's like, regardless of how we're feeling in any given day, we just have the faith and the knowing that if we put attention on challenges or whatever it might be for long enough, the solutions will present. And that's a beautiful bond that we both have. We just know we're going to get the answer. And it might only be the next step. There might still be more challenge to come through before it evolves into what you want it to evolve into. But just having that faith and that knowing to keep putting the attention on it, and you always get there. So, those universal laws that are in those books, our experience of them is they are timeless and they absolutely work. They're amazing.
Yeah, and sometimes like we'll jump on the phone to each other and we'll just start laughing, right? Like, without saying anything about what's going on and knowing something's happening. So it's almost like that faith component, because for me, the opposite to faith is pain. Like for me, and back to when it was my founder's story, I was in so much pain, like unconsciously, and I was always trying to fill a void. So I know the opposite when I put my attention on what we're doing now to faith is the visceral feeling of how much pain I was in during my own journey before I was a founder and, working for the man. So it's really interesting for me, like, doesn't matter how hard it gets, like, I know I've got the faith and the belief and the reps as well, like, because we've done thousands of reps now, and that's probably what, like, you guys have done as well. Like, the first couple of reps, doesn't matter what you do, is so hard and you feel like, oh, I can't lift this weight, or something like that, it's like, for me, it's like, I know how much pain I was in. I never want to go back there. So always having the faith and putting attention on that process is so much more rewarding, because I know I never want to go back to that.
When you say pain, are you saying kind of like lack of fulfillment in what you were doing?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I was in a situation where I had an incredible partner at the time. I had a condo overlooking the city in Brisbane and had an incredible job, but I was still hollow inside. There was a question that I was sort of trying to ask myself, like, is this it? And that was the thing that was resonating for me. I could feel it. And my partner in the time, she just said, you've just got to go. You've just got to like find whatever you're looking for. And we were talking about it earlier, you know, like, if a man doesn't have his why or a passion and a purpose of what he's doing, there's just such a split in his own consciousness. And that's what I felt at the time. And I was filling it full of like ultra marathons and then doing extreme sports, or, you know, starting my jiu-jitsu journey, and then I'd start surfing, and then I would do like CrossFit, you know, training twice a day. And I was always trying to fill it with some sort of movement or some sort of thing to just keep me distracted. And once I let all that stuff go, and we traveled out into the middle of the country in Australia in a place called Uluru in Alice Springs, like right in the middle of the country, the most extreme place in the country to go. And all of that space and expansion allowed a lot of that stuff to percolate and come through. So that was part of my journey, to sort of almost let a lot of that go and just have the time and space to be able to listen and be open to those answers, that what am I here doing? And so, yeah.
I just want to mention there as well, when we say faith, it's not just like faith in nothing. It's like faith in the truth of who we are, understanding that we are like these infinite eternal beings.
Yes.
And it's faith in that whatever we put our attention on, we will get the answer. Because it's there. It's just got to actually, we've just got to actually get it out of the field where it is.
Yeah. One of the thoughts that I was thinking about this yesterday, faith is more of a range than a like certain point. And so you said turning faith into knowing. And I was thinking about this the other day, like when you have full conviction in something, you're going to get the most honest information back. Even if it was like, I had full conviction that was going to work. I did everything in my fullest abilities to figure out if that was going to be the right thing to do. And then you acted on it, and maybe it wasn't the exact outcome you thought, but the conviction isn't the variable that was off. So I think that when I was struggling the most, it sounds like we kind of have a similar story, was when I had low conviction on basically everything I was doing. So I wasn't getting any information back on like what I needed to be doing to create the changes in my life to start living the life that I wanted to. So where I've gotten to now is like a totally different place. Like starting these businesses, it's like you have to have conviction around everything you do. Otherwise you'll be out of business pretty quickly. Yeah. So it's like, you know, taking that faith and knowing that there's a starting point. It can be like an ounce of faith. I think they call it a mustard seed in the Bible, but that can grow and expand into everything that you do. And that conviction is just like the ultimate superpower.
Beautifully said. Yeah, I love that.